all your landscaping needs, including irrigation, sod work, and planting, both plants and trees. On the dirt work side, Eagle can grade and build your pads, haul dirt in or out, and even do erosion control. Philip Love and his team can do it all for you. The website is the same, insulatewitheagle.com, as is the phone number, 256-755-1556. Give them a call and see what Eagle can do for you. Eagle saves you time. Eagle saves you money.
Tom Luganville here for my friends at Woody Anderson Ford. Bobby White and his team take great pride in their service department, and you can see it the moment you walk into those beautiful new service lanes. And just like a championship team, they all work together to make sure your experience is second to none, whether you drive a Ford or not. Also, check out the gold certified pre-owned inventory at Woody Anderson Ford for great deals every day. Stop by and see them at Jordan and Sparkman or at Woody Anderson of Madison on Hughes Road, or visit WoodyAndersonFord.com.
Tom Abraham here for my friends at Your Home Window Company. When it comes to replacement windows, exterior doors, or new window screens, Your Home Window is the answer anywhere in Huntsville, Athens, Decatur, or Hartselle. Your Home Window windows and doors are made here in the USA and come with a lifetime warranty. When replacing those old windows or doors, Your Home Window has the solution for you. In-home estimates are always free and financing is available. Learn more at yourhomewindow.com and see clearly with Your Home Window. Visit yourhomewindow.com to make an appointment today.
If hunting and outdoor recreation are your passions, it all starts with the right property. That's where I come in. I am Bo Butler with Southland Realty and Auction, a hunting and recreational land specialist and a Jackson County native who sees land through a hunter's eyes. Just as you trust your guide on a big game hunt, you can trust me to find the perfect property for you. Thinking of selling? Let me help you make your land attract buyers. Remember, Bo knows land. Call me at 256-609-0512.
You've seen those beautiful epoxy floors in a garage or carport area and have probably wondered, how can I get that done? Well, the answer is Lifetime Epoxy Floors. Lifetime Epoxy Floors is an A-plus rated business with the Better Business Bureau and has been family-owned for over 14 years. They do both residential and commercial applications and get most jobs done in a day. Lifetime Epoxy Floors' motto is, we love what we do, and it shows. Visit LifetimeEpoxyFloors.com to schedule a free estimate today and check them out on Facebook.
Are you tired of chasing a roofing contractor to show up on time or even show up at all? I'm Sam Fleming with Fleming Roofing and Restoration. Our motto at Fleming Roofing is we show up. Our goal at Fleming Roofing is to provide the reliable customer service that you deserve, and we have the resources to meet all of your roofing needs: residential, commercial, industrial, replacement, or repairs. We are manufacturer certified for roof coatings, single-ply membranes, and asphalt shingles. Whenever you need a roofing professional you can count on, call Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We are committed to finding the solution that meets your needs. We don't have quotas or heavy-handed sales tactics. Fleming Roofing, we have expert experience. We show up. Free estimates: residential, commercial, industrial, replacement, or repairs. Check us out at FlemingHSV.com. FlemingHSV.com. When you need a quick response, it's Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We show up.
Hey there, Bob Baumhauer again. Baumhauer's Victory Grill is extremely proud to have recently received numerous awards, including being voted best wings in the state of Alabama. Other awards received include Best All-Around Restaurant, Best American Restaurant, #1 Sports Bar, Best Chef, Best Wings, and Best Dining Experience. Thank you for 43 legendary years, and we look forward to providing you an award-winning dining experience at every visit. Baumhauer's Victory Grill. Legendary fun, legendary food.
Today's coverage of SEC Media Days is brought to you by Woody Anderson Ford. We are a family-owned business. We are Alabama's F-150 Superstore. Located online at WoodyAndersonFord.com. Welcome to Talkin Ball with Scott Tyson and Drew DeArmond. Call into the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline now, 256-576-4977. That's 256-576-4977. Now, here's Scott and Drew.
There we are. We said we'd be live in Atlanta on Monday, and indeed we are. It is SEC Media Days 2025 coming to you from the College Football Hall of Fame here in downtown Atlanta. Our day one coverage brought to you by Bryant Bank. So much more than just a place to make a financial transaction. It's a community that greets you by name and treats you like family. It is Bryant Bank helping us kick off SEC Media Days 2025. On the docket today, LSU, South Carolina, Ole Miss, and Vanderbilt.
No question about it. We are honored to be here at the College Football Hall of Fame. It's beautiful. They've added things since we were last here 3 years ago. But we've got a beautiful new backdrop. But when more things change, the more they stay the same. And as far as traditionally now, pretty much for the last several years at the SEC Media Days, and you can hear him each and every day on ESPN 97.7 The Zone, we kick off SEC Media Days with the king of college football, Chuck Oliver. Chuck, welcome back. This is the best radio week of the year. It's a grind. It's long, but I know it's always my favorite. How are you, sir?
Doing good. Yesterday, checking in registration. Craig from SEC asked me,
Yes,
"Hey,
sir,
Chuck,
Craig
how you doing?" Craig Pinkerton. And I kind of looked at him. I was like, other than being reminded every July I'm a year older, like it's one of those marks in times on the calendar. You're like, all right, now how many of these I've been to? So you're correct. And I always kick it off with y'all. I do. You and Scott, just wonderful, wonderful opportunity to have you on all the time talking Bama, Drew. And so when I get in person, I want to do it. And there's another time, too. Steve used to have me on. It was sort of a tradition night before Thanksgiving.
Oh, wow.
He wanted to check in on my turkey prep. He wanted to see what was going on. And so I would hang with them a while. But so, yeah, it's throughout the year. I got marks in time with Huntsville.
So SEC spring meetings really caused quite the ruckus, I think. What do we think carries over from that to this?
Well, the big non-development out of SEC spring meetings and then afterwards was we're back to square one for the playoffs. I thought that we had kind of separated that the SEC athletic directors, they weren't going to get what they wanted, that the SEC head coaches were probably going to get what they wanted. And then the Big Ten says, no, we don't want to back down. We kind of like the way we're doing things. So we all know that. The money will get it worked out. That's what it is. I mean, if you think about it, when they announced the 12-team bracket, actually, no, I'm going to take that back. Do you remember when Bill Hancock announced there was an expanded playoffs? He says, we can't tell you what it's going to look like, but we got the money worked out now. Do y'all know the only sanction the NCAA ever took off the table? It wasn't the death penalty.
Right.
It was the TV ban. I paid $5 to watch the Florida Gators play in Auburn's Coliseum one time because the Gators had a TV ban.
Right.
So basically, at one point, we were like, look, we don't want you to cheat, but the TV money is what really matters. So we'll punish you. We'll take away coaches. We'll take away scholarships. We'll take away everything. But you can be on TV. So the money means that they'll get it all worked out. Here's what I believe will happen.
Right.
There will be additional money from networks, and then you'll just have to deal with the challenge of a ninth conference game. The four losers so far in the conference, I would say losers, would be the Florida, Georgia, Kentucky, South Carolina group because, well, we've got this other game we have to play, whether it's Louisville, Florida State, Clemson, whatever. I would look at South Carolina and go, that's your game.
Yeah.
You don't have to play that game. LSU played Tulane for decades, and then they were like, you ain't in the conference anymore. We're not playing you. So you don't have to play Georgia Tech. You don't have to play Louisville. That's your non-conference game. Do whatever you want with it. But this idea that we have to protect these four schools because they choose to play this, Florida used to play Miami.
Yep, that's right.
And they quit. But we have to play Florida State. If you decide you do, that's on you. But I believe it will be 9 games.
Yeah, and I thought that was inevitable as well. And I think it's good for the fans and the ADs. They want butts in the seats, and that gets more people inside the stadiums. And it's all about the money.
And
money
it also
drives
it makes it more of we never do strength of schedule in the NFL.
Yeah,
because all of your opponents kind of come from the same general pool.
Right.
Right.
In college football, good Lord, look at the disparity in opponents. That's why we have to have this computer formula and Deloitte get involved. And like we see, to kind of balance out the schedules. It would be like if the Dolphins played a team from the Canadian League in college and the AAF and the USFL, like that's what Georgia does when they play a team. They play Ball State, and then they play Savannah State, and then they play Charleston Southern. You're not playing like opponents, and so then it gets into deciding. All right, well, since these opponents are so different, we have to talk about it. Like you don't have rankings in the NFL; you have standings. And that's kind of where I think we're heading in college football is we're not going to have rankings. We're not going to have vote in the NFL who gets in the playoffs.
Right.
You just look at a number in the standings, and you can do that because we all play the same teams. So I think that's kind of where we're headed.
Huh.
And Chuck, just to switch gears to the SEC as a whole, this feels I'm really anticipating this season, this offseason. First of all, I thought last year's drug. I think this one was like lightning. But I think this is a wide open year within the league. I know a lot of people think Texas is the best team, but I think it's wide open. What is your thoughts?
I have decided that just for the purpose of conversation, I'm going to assume Texas and Georgia are playoff teams. I've had a devil of a time getting the SEC to 4 because that's something, Drew, I know you and I have talked about. I got it said directly to me in February. So, Chuck, pay attention. Every word that comes out of Birmingham is going to be about getting a 4th team, more playoff, more guaranteed, more playoff teams. All right, well, Tennessee, if they're not in the playoffs from last year, you need to find 2 more. Mm-hmm. And so could it be Bama? They're probably my leader. I'm wondering about Ty Simpson because when I look at Kalen DeBoer and his history, it's not quarterbacks with ceilings. It's blue sky. And Ty Simpson seems to be that guy that at least I know what I'm getting, the consistency, the older, whatever. I wonder if we've been limiting his physical part of that and just concentrating too much on the team stuff and the leadership and the experience. Kalen DeBoer's been about Michael Penix and Jake Haener out at Fresno in wide open offenses, not controlled things until Russell's ready. So I wonder about Alabama. They're my leader probably, but you're right, wide open. LSU, Texas A&M, they're Ole Miss perhaps, Florida, who knows? South Carolina. There are so many, and I can't confidently get to 2 of them though.
Is it weird today? Vanderbilt's here. Normally when Vanderbilt comes in, it's last team of the day. People are packing up. They're kind of like half interested.
James Flynn insisting you talk to him?
Yeah. But I know they may not get voted real high still just because it is Vanderbilt, but there seems to be a little different mystique this year to having Vanderbilt in the building.
They played legitimate football last year. Now, by the way, their conversions on 3rd down on offense and their refusal to turn the football over, and they still either won or lost. I mean, razor's edge.
Yes.
The Bama game, obviously, we all remember that. They played that same game against Texas, but lost. They played that same game against LSU, but lost. And so I want to say they coached to what the talent they knew they had, which was, let's snap it on 2. Let's convert this 3rd down. Let's keep possession. Let's go forward on 4th, because even if we don't get, they really kind of taught to the test. And it really did work. They played legitimate football. Now, their quarterback is a rough and tumble guy, and he's not the biggest in the world, which is why I know the whole month of November, wasn't it lower body injury?
Yes.
I think it was total body injury. I think he was just beat up by that time.
And he's here today.
Oh, that's fantastic.
We didn't hear from him last year.
No, Clark Lee gets
intriguing.
It. Clark Lee, I'm an SEC program. I bring my quarterback to media days. Absolutely, I do. And if last year – Trevor Knight was the first one that I saw show up at media days, and I was offended. He's never even taken a snap in his league. How can you bring him to media days? Dude, that is so in the rear view now. If you know who your QB is, you bring him. I want to say they were still trying to pretend last year there was going to be a quarterback competition maybe, and you don't want to announce it. But I don't know. When you bring the play caller over and his quarterback, guess what? They're working together. So they brought Pavia this year. They didn't bring Eli Stowers. And that's he's an NFL player. Like he could be with the Vikings or Chargers. Like right now, he could be with somebody. They didn't bring him, but there is a legitimacy to the opponent. I don't think the record will be better this year. They really look like about a 6-16.
Yeah,
but they'll be a better football team. They're deeper.
And then LSU, I've got them 4th in my top. I've got them top 4, but they've got so many new pieces defensively. That seems to be still part of the riddle that Brian Kelly's trying to figure out, but they went so portal heavy on defense. It'll be interesting to me how quickly they gel.
Why couldn't they run the ball last year?
Very good point.
I mean, that's the one thing, the one position in all of football that a true freshman or even a rookie in the NFL, freshman in high school, running back, run to daylight. It's easy. And they got studs, and they had 3 linemen get drafted. They couldn't run the ball. So I don't understand why that was the case last year. Somehow they have to pass protect Garrett Nussmeier better than they did last year when they had those NFL players. We know the talent. We could run through it. They've got 8 wide receiver. I was working through Nick Anderson last week in my mind.
Right. Oklahoma transfer.
And he had 10 touchdowns as a redshirt freshman. Only started half the season. And I realized he's not even the best Anderson receiver on that team. So they've got talent spilling. Why couldn't they block it up and run last year? Why couldn't they block it up and protect Nussmeier late? I didn't understand that. So, now Kelly's putting so much more emphasis. Have you heard him going chest out on that Clemson opener?
Yeah.
Like he's re-emphasized. And this year is going to be different. I was like, okay, well, now you're kind of setting the target on it. They're loaded with talent. There's been something missing. They weren't any closer with a Heisman winner at quarterback. So you're right. They're talented enough. They could do it. It would be time if you're an LSU fan to see that happen.
Well, and Lane Kiffin and Ole Miss, they're here. They just missed the playoffs last year. Bad losses, though. The Kentucky loss, bad loss for Ole Miss. Now they travel to Lexington this year. Can't take a bad loss. They were just on that outside looking in last year.
It's so funny you bring them up because I was saying I'm trying to get to 4, and I rattled off like 5 other programs. Right. And I was like, I don't know who I'm going to think. I didn't even mention Ole Miss.
Right.
Ole Miss was one of those teams that a couple of weeks ago I was really deep diving on, and I was trying to convince myself because I love Lane and what he does with quarterbacks so much. Here's 2 things. Lane and Sark, if nothing else, they get the quarterback right. Winning record, losing record, Saban fires him after the season, whatever. They get the quarterback right. And so I was looking at Austin Simmons and that little teacup action we saw against Georgia.
Yeah, that replay when I saw that, man, he was good.
He was not. But by the way, he's 2 years ahead.
Yeah,
right. So that's a high school senior out there again, age wise. So Austin Simmons. And then I like Caden Lee, but I was like, but he's a slot. He's not big giant Trey Harris. And I do like some of the players on defense, but last year I liked about 10 guys in the front 7. There's too much for me to overcome with Ole Miss. I have to overcome the offensive line, which last year never got good. But I have to overcome the offensive line. There will be a Saturday where we go, oh, yeah, Austin Simmons has never played before. There's just so much for me to overcome. And I went in biased. I was like, Ole Miss can be that playoff team. And I was like, no.
Really?
Well, and then you look at South Carolina. They'll be here today. Sellers, breakout player of the second half of the season. I was at the Alabama game. I knew that he had talent, but the thing that really stunned me was their defensive front, which was so good. Took it to Alabama all day. Kennard, though, is gone. 2 other guys, their 2 interior defensive linemen are gone. Stewart's back, and now they had turnover at the OC. And I just don't know if they're not going to be able to sneak up on anybody. And plus, the back end of their schedule is so difficult. So, to me, I just don't know. I thought they were very close and probably could have been a playoff team with a little bit better officiating against LSU. But I'm like, I don't think they're going to be able to replicate what they did a year ago. But yet, I think they're a bowl team. What do you think?
If they do exactly what they did last year, I would be kind of impressed with that. They're 9-3 in a regular season.
No question.
And I'm looking at that 9-3, and I'm like, Shane Beamer ain't going to be impressed with it. And maybe the most transformation, like George Rogers. I'm old enough. I watched George Rogers his senior year in high school.
Wow.
I was a second grader, and I was like, he's different. Like whoever that. Lenora Sellers could be the most transformational player in that program's history. He really could be. And the reason is because I was thinking about sketching out my ballot. I mean, how many times have y'all been here? Have you ever put a South Carolina quarterback on your all SEC ballot?
No, sir.
I never have. And he may lead the way. And so I'm looking at Lenora Sellers. How does a team elevate? Because of the QB. That's how it happens. Aaron Rodgers had Cal in the top 5.
That's true.
Big Ben had Miami of Ohio, 13 wins, number 8 in America. The quarterback can do it, and this kid can do it. We know some of the freaky talent on the outside. By the way, Nick Harbor, he had a little bit more statistical impact last year than most of us realize. Like, he had an okay season. They've got Bennett, and they've got other options. But you're right about the defense. It was just stud after stud getting after going. That's what we're talking about with Vanderbilt. You're not going to succeed if you don't hit the quarterback. South Carolina hits the quarterback. And so I think they'll be able to. Last year, it was a lot of the players. This year, it'll have to be more of a combination of players and maybe gin it up, play games in the front 7. But That's going to tell the tale of their season. But Lenore Sellers could absolutely be that guy that brings them to a different area.
Chuck Oliver joining us here along Radio Row. I know, Digital Drive, Radio Row, whatever you want to call it. They're not here till tomorrow, but the Auburn Tigers come in. Last couple weeks, Hugh Freeze. Lots been talked about his golf game, his lack of recruiting, or Auburn's lack of success on the recruiting trail. Much has been talked about Auburn and just how hot Hugh Freeze's seat may be down on the plains.
If we go back about 2 months or so, just roughly, let's go back sometime in May, before spring meetings. This shows me, because over the past 2 months, what you're talking about is they've had either some decommitments outright, or they just outright lost the chase and this kid picked somebody else. That had not been happening. At the high school level, it hadn't been happening. Transfer portal hadn't been happening. He wanted to go get a coach. Ohio State went DJ Dirk, and he's like, double your salary. So, like, everything that he wants, it's been, turning up roses, except for the wins, except for everything else, facilities, everything else. Up to 2 months ago, even the high school recruiting, aces. This shows me that the Auburn fan base was kind of spring-loaded. They're kind of waiting. This is literally the first dip in player acquisition, facilities. I don't know. He hadn't lost a coach that he really wanted.
No. Made changes he wanted, like you said.
And so you have an Auburn fan base, I think, over the past 60 days that has leapt upon something that was presented to him. We've had decommitments and we've lost in-state, kids recruiting battles. Okay, that's true. But first, it's only a commit. You can do what Florida State did to the wide receiver, I believe it was, who, and that was sort of a, why don't you find somewhere else? And so we know some of those are arranged. I think this shows the dissatisfaction and just how quick Auburn fans will be if the season doesn't start going.
Baylor opener is huge, I think.
Oh, my God, that is a hornet's nest. Dave Aranda, we all know his history. I'm not going to go through that. That is a dangerous game. It's a charged environment. We know on Friday night, Riverfront, it's going to be this big deal out there. That was not what it was when the game was signed. I think it was 7 years ago.
Wow.
This is going to be a quick fuse, I believe, with Auburn fans. I think that's what I've seen the past 6 or 8 weeks.
Yeah.
Well, the Chuck Oliver Show here at Daily here on ESPN 97.7 The Zone. He's the king of college football. Sir, we always appreciate it. And once again, it's great stuff getting us started, sir.
Oh, I appreciate the invite, man. Anytime.
Thanks, Chuck Oliver, kind enough to be with us. Let's get our first break in. We're live from the College Football Hall of Fame. It's SEC Media Days 2025.
You're listening to Talkin Ball on 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Today's coverage of SEC Media Days is brought to you by Bryant Bank. We are proud to be Alabama's bank of the community and for the community. Online at bryantbank.com.
Since 1983, Berkshire Hathaway Rise Real Estate's Ann Adams has been your local go-to real estate expert in the area. As a buyer, you can trust Ann's in-depth knowledge of the local housing market to narrow available properties down to those you'll be interested in, saving you time when shopping for a new home. When you're ready to sell, Ann's expert negotiation skills will ensure you get a fair price and hassle-free experience. Call Ann Adams today at 256-337-2625 or email annadamsrise@gmail.com.
I'm here with Thomas from Talent Heating and Air. With the temperatures going up, now is a good time to get your heating and air system looked at. Thomas, when somebody calls, you guys answer.
That's right. The phones are staffed by us. They're manned 24/7. We're ready to come out and take care of you that day.
How do they give you guys a call?
You give us a call at 256-503-4490.
And you can find you guys on the World Wide Web at
talenthvac.com.
And now is a good time to do this because you guys are offering a special deal.
That's right. We're doing $49 tune-ups this spring. We're also doing free second opinions. We offer that year-round. Somebody comes out, they say you got a bag compressor or leaking refrigerant. Give us a call, see if we can save you some money.
Thomas from Talent Heating and Air. Thomas, one more time, that phone number.
256-503-4490. AL certain number 21014.
There's a lot of talk these days about who's the biggest. I'm attorney Gary Lackey. Bigger doesn't equal better.
I'm attorney Jennifer Lackey. We know we're not the biggest. We don't want to be.
I'm attorney Justin Lackey.
we're big enough to handle your case and get you the help you need, but small enough to welcome you, where you're never just a number, you're part of our family.
The Lackey Law Firm, 1-800-4RIGHTS.
No representation is made that the quality of the legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
The state's largest orthopedic group is growing to meet the needs of the patients in our community. The Orthopedic Center has long been the most trusted name in orthopedics in North Alabama. So as our area continues on the fast track, so does the need for premier orthopedic care anywhere and anytime you need it. TOC is proud to announce the opening of our new locations in Albertville and Hampton Cove, along with the grand opening of our newest office in Decatur. These clinics will offer the same high-quality orthopedic care you have come to associate with TOC, with the convenience of being closer to home. As a patient, your time is your most precious asset, and we recognize that at TOC. That's why we are also proud to announce the opening of our urgent ortho clinics to handle those bumps and bruises that need prompt attention. These clinics are available to care for acute orthopedic injuries with no appointment necessary. With 38 physicians, 20 centers of excellence, and now more than a dozen locations to serve you, TOC will continue to be the name you turn to for the best orthopedic care at the right time. Visit our website at visittoc.com for more information. TOC, helping you live a better life.
Listen to the Rocket City Trash Pandas all season long.
Swung on it. Left center field. That's going to get down and go to the wall. Montanelli at first. He's on his way to second, and he'll pull in. There's the first ever cycle in Trash Pandas history.
Trash Panda Baseball is only on Talk Radio WZZN. Today's coverage of SEC Media Days is brought to you by Bryant Bank. We are proud to be Alabama's bank of the community and for the community. Online at bryantbank.com.
Big thank you to Bryant Bank helping us bring you day one coverage of SEC Media Days 2025 here in Atlanta. We are inside the College Football Hall of Fame. Always fun to be here in
and
Atlanta.
The Natalie-clad Brooks Austin's here too.
Yeah, a lot of people just kind of humming by us, and that'll be the case all week. In case you are wondering, we say it every year, Steve Spurrier holds the all-time record as far as coaches making appearances here at the College Football Hall of Fame. If you add up his time with South Carolina and Florida, 23 appearances in all, the last coming in 2015. Nick Saban second on that list. If you combined his Alabama and LSU appearances, Nick Saban made 21 appearances here at SEC Media Days. Now, 16 of those came while he was at Alabama. Philip Fulmer, 15 at Tennessee. Mark Richt, 15 while he was with Georgia. Now, today, Brian Kelly and LSU. Brian Kelly will be making his fourth appearance at SEC Media Days. Shane Beamer will be making his fifth appearance.
Wow, already five, man. It's so crazy because I can remember the first year he was here. We were in the media room, electronic, and he was so impressive. He won
the press. He won that day as South Carolina head coach.
And I'll give him credit. It's been bumpy at times, but he stayed the course, and they had a really good football team last year, kind of laying in the weeds, and now they're going to try to, handle expectation. And as Chuck Oliver just said, and I thought it was very aptly put, if they repeat what they did a year ago, it's very impressive, especially when you consider what they lost on all three levels defensively,
right?
D-line, linebackers, and secondary. They lost key guys on every level. So if they can rebuild that defense and Sellers can take a step forward under Mike Shula, there you go. First time back on the field. Now, he was an analyst last year, but he hasn't been back on a college football field, Scott, since he was let go after the 03 to 06 run at Alabama. This is going to be really interesting to see how he does as OC at South Carolina.
Well, he returns 5 starters on offense.
Right.
Does Shane Beamer. He returns 4 starters on defense. He lost 15 starters from a year ago.
Mm-hmm.
He lost, Shane Beamer, not he lost. South Carolina lost 6 starters on offense. They lost 7 starters on defense. So when South Carolina puts a defense out on the field in 2025, only 4 starters will be back on the field on the defensive side of the football.
Yep, no question. And that's the biggest, holes that they have to fill. Their two interior defensive linemen were in a second and fourth round draft pick in the NFL, respectively. They've got Dylan Stewart back. It should be a freshman, a sophomore All-American. He was a freshman standout, freshman All-SEC. Some people thought a freshman All-American. Kennard, who was a force, especially in that Alabama game, he moved on to the NFL. But Stewart was considered their biggest recruiting win. He was from the D.C. area, 5-star, and he lived up to that, reputation. Now he's got to keep building on it. And, if South Carolina can improve their, offense and their running game at times, Sellers was second on the team with nearly 700 yards rushing. But they're going to have to. They went portal heavy and are bringing in Faison from Utah State to be their tailback. We'll see how that works out. Because Rocket Sanders came over from Arkansas and was in much better shape last year, had nearly 900 yards, had some big games, but they need to help Sellers a little bit. They need to have a multifaceted running game. They need to have some wide receivers, like Nicholas Harbor. He's been concentrating. When he was signed, he was more of a track guy than football player, even though he was a 5-star talent. Some still think he should be a defensive player, a pass rusher, but wanted to be a wide receiver, was trying to make the Olympic team in track. Did not do that, fell just short. He did not do spring track this year. He did spring football. He needs to become that 6'5", big wide receiver with explosive speed. They need a true number one, and he needs to start living up to that 5-star potential this year.
And don't forget, part of the roster for South Carolina this year, Jaylen Brown, part of the South Carolina roster.
Yeah, Jaylen Brown, part of the South Carolina roster, no doubt about it. He'll be a key guy, that coming in that needs to step up and play well. But, they've got several pieces that need to step up. But, yeah, there's no question that Jaylen Brown will be a big piece.
From James Clemens High School, transfer from Missouri.
Mm-hmm. And James Clemens has put out a lot of good football players, no doubt about it. Juwan Johnson has now taken over that program. Chad McGehee has retired. But James Clemens, if you look at their history, and it's really not long. I mean, it's just a little over a decade. Yeah. They put out a lot of really good college players. They've got guys in the NFL. It's been a pretty fertile area out there off County Line Road. So Jaylen Brown, as you said, from Missouri to South Carolina, and we'll see what kind of effect he has.
So also Lane Kiffin will be making his 6th appearance today here at SEC Media Days. That puts him in company with, and I was looking at coaches that have been here 6 years.
Mm-hmm.
Lou Holtz made 6 appearances at SEC Media Days. Terry Bowden, former Auburn head coach, he made 6 appearances. Urban Meyer, 6 appearances with Florida did Urban Meyer. Kevin Sumlin and David Cutcliffe, all coaches that made 6 appearances at SEC Media Days. That company Lane Kiffin is joining us. And when we sat here with Chuck Oliver, we were both, and even before that, we were all kind of like, wow. And Brett Norsworthy dropped by as well. It's like, can you believe that Lane Kiffin has stayed at Ole Miss for 6 seasons?
Well, yeah, he and as Brett said, he didn't expect this. I'm not sure a lot of people did. I mean, he was in heavy pursuit of the Auburn job, and he pulled his name out there. I think he had his eyes on the Florida job last year if Billy hadn't turned it around, because, he loves the Sunshine State. He loved his time in Boca Raton at FAU. And from what I understand, it kept the house over there. But, sometimes, the old Garth Brooks song, God's greatest gift is unanswered prayers. You just fit somewhere, and you find your niche. And, we were even bringing it up off the air about his time at Tennessee, his 1 year. He had a great staff over there, Lance Thompson. He had Ed Ogeron, y'all coaching the D-line. And they were recruiting very, very well. And it didn't get a chance to take hold. And because he thought USC was his dream job. But here's the problem with why it was a nightmare. What did we say with Scott Frost? You don't take the wrong job.
Yes.
He took a job that was about to get racked with sanctions. You don't go to USC. He should have stayed at Tennessee. We will see what he would have done. He named his son after, the great city of Knoxville. What a great American city that is.
That's just one of those. That's just one of those things right there, and you just kind of hit it. That's one of those head scratching things that make you sit there and say, "What if Lane Kiffin never leaves Tennessee? Where is Tennessee at if Lane Kiffin never left Knoxville?"
Now he may have gone to USC later on, and then they would have been in a stronger spot. I don't think he would still be at Tennessee. More than likely, I think he needed to mature some too. But then at the same time,
Tennessee have been in trouble
but at the same time, he wouldn't be at Ole Miss right now, in my opinion.
Well, no, you're right.
Just like Nick Saban. If Alabama hires Rich Rodriguez, oh my God, and I love Coach Rod, but if they had hired Rich Rod and by the way,
no, we're going to talk about going to talk about all that in the next segment. Yes.
Yeah, and so, but what if that happens, or what if Mike Shula signs Tim Tebow? I mean, because he finished second. Now, I think it was a distant second. But what if Tim Tebow comes to Alabama?
I think it was close.
And so, I don't know. I just think about the Gator mailbox because that's what Travis Reier used to always talk about.
I think it's close. I've heard Tim Tebow speak in person.
Yeah.
And he tells the story that the night before the draft, even going in before he committed, he still was locked on Alabama.
So, I mean, if he goes to Bama, then maybe you don't get Saban, which,
it's just crazy to think about, isn't it?
It's just things
that make you go,
Yeah. And we all remember the video.
Yeah.
We all remember, I don't know what you got. I don't know how much to say it. I'm not going to be the Alabama coach. Well, yeah, you were. So,
well, I tell you what,
worked out.
7:32 on a Monday. We're live from SEC Media Days inside the College Football Hall of Fame. Let's cash in a break here real fast. When we come back, last night, 97.7 ESPN The Zone got to be a part of something really special, and we'll explain where we were at last night and just how special it was.
You're listening to Talkin Ball on 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Travel accommodations for 97.7 ESPN The Zone provided by University Kia. Your Fox 54 weather brought to you by Tellini's Italiano.
I'm Fox 54 meteorologist Emily Owen. Another hot afternoon to be expected across the area for this Monday. We'll see sunshine to begin with, but scattered showers and thunderstorms will come into the forecast in the afternoon. High temperatures once again reaching the lower 90s. Heading into Monday night, we'll start to dry out a little. Low temperatures fall into the low 70s.
Your Fox 54 weather only on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Never went down to Georgia. He was looking for a soul to steal.
The Drive in Atlanta is brought to you by Woody Anderson Ford, Alabama's F-150 Superstore, Berkshire Hathaway Home Services, Rise Real Estate, and Adams. We know great homes. Eagle Masonry and Insulation will save you money. Jacob Title, the place to call for all your closing needs. And by Fleming Roofing and Restoration, we show up.
If hunting and outdoor recreation are your passions, it all starts with the right property. That's where I come in. I am Bo Butler with Southland Realty and Auction, a hunting and recreational land specialist and a Jackson County native who sees land through a hunter's eyes. Just as you trust your guide on a big game hunt, you can trust me to find the perfect property for you. Thinking of selling? Let me help you make your land attract buyers. Remember, Bo knows land. Call me at 256-609-0512.
Your customers deserve the best, and so do you. You invest in your customers with your heart, soul, and skill. Well, it's time to invest in yourself with the next generation Cat 255 compact track loader from Thompson Tractor. After all, those who give their best deserve the best, and this machine has it all. With features that include a more powerful engine, tri-axle truck loading capabilities, a spacious cab, and a smooth ride for all-day comfort. Best of all, now Thompson Tractor is making that investment even better with our Workhorse Special. Get 0% financing for 36 months on the purchase of a new Cat 255 compact track loader that comes with a 3-year warranty. You also get a 74-inch bucket and 1,000-hour filter kit. But hurry, this offer is only good through June 30th. Visit ThompsonTractor.com for details. Thompson Tractor, we're here for you.
Forgiveness. Wow, what a word. What a gift. All of us have done things in our lives that we regret. All of us have done things that are disobedient. All of us have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God. Thank God for his forgiveness. Thank God that he separates our sins as far as the east is from the west and remembers them no more. Hey, I'm John Dees, pastor at Cross Point Church, smack across the street from the YMCA in Madison. Check us out at cpcfamily.org.
The Tom Abraham Show, weekdays beginning at noon on 97.7 ESPN The Zone and WZZN TV. Today's coverage of SEC Media Days is brought to you by Bryant Bank. We are proud to be Alabama's bank of the community and for the community. Online at bryantbank.com.
Shooting for the stars, but I couldn't make a killing. Didn't have a time, but I always had a vision. Always had hope. Had hopes for a living. Didn't know how, but I always had a feeling. I was gonna be that one in a million. Always had hope. Mama said, fulfill the prophecy, be something great. Go make a legacy, manifest destiny. Back in the days, we wanted everything. Mama said, burn your biographies, rewrite your history. Light up your wildest dreams, museum victories. Every day, we wanted everything. Mama said, don't give up. It's a little complicated. All tied up, no more love. And I'd hate to see you waiting. Had to have hopes for a living. Shooting for the stars, but I couldn't make a killing. Didn't have a time, but I always had a vision. Always had hope. Had to have hopes for a living.
All right, welcome back. Talking Ball 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Scott Tyson, Trudy Arman. 7:37
Sorry,
here.
I'm eating patient.
Day one on the College Football Hall of Fame. For us, it's SEC Media Days 2025.
Mm-hmm.
And I mentioned last night, so SEC Media Days gets started today. And tonight we have a chance to watch a Netflix premiere.
Mm-hmm.
We've been invited to see that. Now, last night, you
don't have to be good to top it.
You, Steve, and we were invited to go see a special premiere, a documentary called Nothing But a Winner. It will be in theaters July 31st.
I'll talk in Coach Bryant parlance. Nothing but a winner.
Yes, and here is a little clip. We're going to explain what it all is. We're going to explain Nothing But a Winner. We're going to explain it all, boil it all down, and tell you why you probably will want to go watch it. Here is just a little excerpt of what we got to hear last night.
And the Crimson Tide has once again ascended to the top of the college football mountain.
You know, we always talk about climbing the mountain. But what they don't realize is when you successfully climb the mountain, you become the mountain and everybody's shooting at you.
They have finally beaten Alabama.
And once you've coached at Alabama, then everything else goes downhill just a little bit.
We'll be walking out of here as a national champion.
Coach Bryant is the greatest coach of all time.
Well, he didn't just coach football, he coached your life as well.
I expect nothing less.
He's not coming down to pat you on the back. He's coming down to kick your butt.
The one thing about Coach was, it was tough, but you knew he loved you.
He had recreated Alabama football. It wasn't black versus white. We were all Crimson Tide.
And I say segregation now and segregation forever.
If you N-words play, we will shoot and kill every one of you.
Had that assurance that he had our backs. Being an African-American quarterback and starting in the SEC, you needed a certain type of person to character-wise.
12 o'clock at night, I lie in my bed and I just lay there and I cry and I pray.
It was a vehicle for us to have a quality of life as American citizens.
I wish you hadn't asked me about that. I still dream about it.
The man has made history.
I think I love college football because you have an opportunity to change lives.
Coach Saban is the greatest leader of men I've ever seen in my entire life.
It's about integrity. That's doing things when no one's watching.
You have to earn everything that comes to you.
Commitment, discipline, effort, toughness, and pride. Those are values that I can take in any avenue of life that I go.
I'm so proud of this guy for what he's done this year.
That's just a little excerpt from Nothing But a Winner, little clips, little montages there that they put together for us to use. What a fantastic, what a beautiful night it was last night to sit there and watch this documentary.
Yeah, it was an honor to be there and be the first handful of people to see this before, there will be some other private screenings, but before it goes nationwide, about 1,000 theaters on July 31st. So, check your local listings. You can pre-order tickets. If you're an Alabama fan, if you're just a college football fan, if you're a sports fan, it's a very, very, very good documentary, an hour and 40 minutes long, and you will learn something you didn't know, whether you're an Alabama football fan or whether you just are a college football fan or just a sports fan. It's a very, very well done.
There's a lot of things I didn't know. Now, I got here in 99.
Right.
And, you start learning about Alabama football history, Auburn football history. You start learning about everything, the coaches, the players, everything. There were things there last night that I watched in that documentary that I had no clue about. No clue.
Right.
And about Coach Bryant, things that he did for the players during his time there at Alabama, things that he did for his players after he left or after he passed away at Alabama, things like the scholarships, things like helping guys get through law school, players get through law school because they couldn't afford it, things like that I learned in this documentary. I mean, it was eye-opening.
It's just, it's very, very well done. The time frame is the era of Coach Bryant through Coach Saban's retirement in 2024. And again, it's and really it encompasses the two most successful dynasties in college football history in many ways. It shows you how Alabama football separated itself from every other program historically in the sport. It's spectacular, no question about it, and no doubt that it was. I was blown away by how good it was. There was a lot of real emotion in it, and I mean, it's really it tugs at the heartstrings, and it was very, very well done, man. Yes. And I encourage.
Even you got emotional last night.
Oh, no question, and that's real because it brought back a lot of memories with my father and things that I remember as a very young kid with Coach Bryant, because I didn't get a chance to watch a lot of his football, because at least be aware of it, because again, I was born on the back end of his career in 1975, and he was done in 82 when I was 7 years old. So, but you still remember things that stick out that you at the time you weren't sure you understood what was going on, but you learned. And it's a very, very well done piece. And I'm definitely going to go see it again. And I'll just let everybody know if you go to see it in the theaters, stay till the end of the credits. Yeah, and that's the only hint that I'll give you.
Yeah, well, I mean, we'll just say it. I mean, they interviewed Nick Saban for 30 minutes for this documentary. It's an hour, an hour and 45 hours?
It's an hour and 40 minutes, but there is a big chunk of the Saban interview at the end of the credits if you want to hear from Coach Nick Saban, who retired as arguably the greatest to ever do it, but I think the two greatest that ever did it were him and Coach Bryant. And this is what this documentary revolves around, especially Coach Bryant and his impact on so many people. And I just encourage everyone to go see this beautiful piece.
Jalen Hurts, George Pugh, Jeremiah Castile, Jonathan Allen, Jay Mosley, Mike brothers. Loxley, Gene Stallings, Ozzie Newsome, Jerry Jeudy, Clinton Dix, Devontae Smith, Kevin Kroom, Wilbur Jackson, Bobby Humphrey, Antonio Langham, Jalen Waddle, Sylvester Kroom. They were all part of this documentary. I mean, it goes on and on and on and on, on and on and on and on and on.
Speaking of historians, as we're wrapping it up, we
got to get a break in.
Quick break, Bailey.
Yes, and then when we come back, Brett Northworthy will join us here along Radio Row, Digital Drive, whatever
Radio Row.
whatever they want us to call it. We're inside the College Football Hall of Fame. It's day one of SEC Media Days.
You're listening to Talkin Ball on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
By now, you know about Eagle Masonry and Insulation, and maybe you know Eagle also does landscaping and dirt work. But how about after paint work? Shower doors, shelving, and mirrors, all taken care of by Eagle, the same Eagle that takes care of all your masonry, insulation, and landscaping needs. Eagle brings the same level of expertise to all these disciplines, and they're ready to provide you with a free quote. The website is the same, insulatewitheagle.com, as is the phone number, 256-755-1556. Give them a call and see what Eagle can do for you. Eagle saves you time. Eagle saves you money.
Tom Luganbill here for my friends at Woody Anderson Ford. Bobby White and his team take great pride in their service department, and you can see it the moment you walk into those beautiful new service lanes. And just like a championship team, they all work together to make sure your experience is second to none, whether you drive a Ford or not. Also, check out the gold certified pre-owned inventory at Woody Anderson Ford for great deals every day. Stop by and see them at Jordan and Sparkman or at Woody Anderson of Madison on Hughes Road, or visit WoodyAndersonFord.com.
John Abraham here for Bobcat of Huntsville. Right now till the end of June, you can get 0% financing on the world-famous line of Bobcat skid steers, excavators, mowers, and tractors. Need attachments? They got them. And did I mention 0% as in nada? No financing charge for 48 months. It's like free money. Visit the brand new Bobcat of Huntsville in their tremendous new facilities on Highway 20 in Madison, right next to Redstone Harley-Davidson.
You've seen those beautiful epoxy floors in a garage or carport area and have probably wondered, how can I get that done? Well, the answer is Lifetime Epoxy Floors. Lifetime Epoxy Floors is an A-plus rated business with the Better Business Bureau and has been family-owned for over 14 years. They do both residential and commercial applications and get most jobs done in a day. Lifetime Epoxy Floors' motto is, we love what we do, and it shows. Visit LifetimeEpoxyFloors.com to schedule a free estimate today and check them out on Facebook.
Today's coverage of SEC Media Days is brought to you by Bryant Bank. We are proud to be Alabama's bank of the community and for the community. Online at BryantBank.com.
Oh, welcome back. Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Well, Talking Ball, we're live from SEC Media Days, day one here along Radio Road, Digital Drive, inside the College Football Hall of Fame. And we've run it all down. LSU, South Carolina, Vanderbilt, and the Ole Miss Rebels headline day one.
And speaking of Ole Miss, of course, he's been featured daily on our show since I've been on the air, and I'm now in year 10. Wow. WHBQ 56 in Memphis, Tennessee. Also, Ole Miss pre and post game. It's Brett Norsworthy. Quick 10 minutes or so on Ole Miss. Brett, Kansas is year 6. Lane Kiffin now established their program. I thought they had the best team in the league last year when they were right. What about the new era, Austin Simmons? I had a chance on, and that's why I do love the SEC Network when they do these Ole Miss days, Alabama Day. I got to watch the Georgia Ole Miss game, their high point last year, and I had forgotten how well Austin Simmons played.
Had to have it.
And had to have it. That may have been the biggest part of the game anyway to get him off to that start.
Dart goes down early. Had to have him come in and play like that. Got the crowd back in the game. And then Dart came back in the game, very seriously injured. Mm-hmm. And Jack Dart insisted on coming back in. Medical approved him going back in. But then with consultation with his dad and the doctors, they said, do you want to play? He said, absolutely. Give me my helmet. And he was back out there, and it was the best win of the year and the best game of the year. And then the following week, we go to Florida and have the heartbreaking loss. You said Ole Miss was a team last year when they were right, but just weren't right consistently enough, Drew, and didn't run the ball with running backs consistently enough. Dart bailed us out. We finished 5th last year in the league in rushing yards, and Lane had been 1st or 2nd his first 3 years, 5th the last 2 years, because Dart really bailed us out. But we missed Quinshon Judkins last year, and we missed him in blitz pickup as much as anything else. Late in the LSU game, the play that Henry Parrish hurt his knee on, he's trying to block a 300-pound LSU defensive lineman, and it snapped his knee ligaments, and then he was gone for the year. So we really got thin at running back. But over the last 2 years, win 21 games, beat Penn State in the Peach Bowl, go and win the Gator Bowl. the night of Matt Luke's last game and Elijah Moore leg hiking incident, we would have all signed up for that.
No, it's been amazing what he's done.
Have the expectations changed at all?
Yeah, Lane wanted him to, Scott.
Yeah.
One thing I love so much about him is just straight as a pin guy. And while to the outside world, it looks like it's fun and backslappy and fun-loving, it is. But when it's football time and it's serious time, and his dad and Coach Saban and Coach Pete Carroll and people along the way taught him this, when it's time for business, he gets down to it. And after we win the Outback Bowl in COVID year against Indiana down in Tampa, we're back at the hotel, no fans because of COVID. We're back at the hotel, and everybody's just sky high. And he said, I hope y'all don't think this is any kind of high water mark, going 5-5 and beating Indiana in the Outback Bowl. We're going to play for a lot more than this. He goes, I better not hear or see anybody talking about a coffee table book for 5-5. That's just not in his worldview. Right. And he wants double-digit win seasons now in the playoff world. He wants playoffs.
So are they? Last year they were high profile, and I thought their front seven was the best in the league. I know they got Suntarine Perkins back, but are they still flying under the radar? How good can this team be?
It can be real good. And TJ Daugherty, who's going to be here today from the defensive side, what he can do, we're going to be okay on the defensive front. We lose a lot of big names. We lose Prince Umanmielen, but we get Prince Umanmielen from Nebraska. So we lose one Umanmielen, we get another one back. And in recruiting, we're going to have 3 or 4 that have been developed in the program from recruiting. Yes, portal heavy, always will be. It's in the rules, and he's going to play by them.
Well, it's the unexplainable things, though. I think that seems to be tripping him up. Ole Miss looks phenomenal against Georgia. Back it up with a bad loss against Kentucky.
Well, in Florida, too.
Yes,
Florida and the Kentucky
LSU
game.
overtime. The 3 losses were soul-crushing.
Yes.
All of them last year against Kentucky. Look, as a 16-point favorite, lose at home.
Right.
That eliminates your standing with the College Football Playoff Committee. I mean, it's hard for anybody to get on top of the table, even with SMU and Indiana. But they didn't have that kind of loss. They didn't have any great wins like Georgia, but they didn't have that kind of loss. You lose at home as a 16-point favorite, you kind of throw it into the jury's hands.
And in your mind, I know you a couple years ago, the expectations for the offensive line at Ole Miss were off the charts. Thought it might be the best in school history. The last 2 years, that haven't been as good as people thought.
It hadn't.
Is it going to be improved this year in your mind, or is it still a question mark?
I think it will be improved. And at running back, Logan Diggs getting healthy, Kawan Lacey transferring from Mizzou, and a couple others. I think the traditional run game has got to be better with running backs. Take some of that pressure off Austin Simmons, because I'm not so sure about Ole Miss at quarterback with a backup. Don't really have a reliable, steady hand right now.
Yeah, and then Logan Diggs, hey, could he have a Rocket Sanders revival? Because a couple years ago, coming from Notre Dame, he was considered a blue chip guy. Didn't really work out at LSU, but he's talented.
And hurt all of last year.
Yeah, no doubt.
So you look at so let's dive in. What is worst case ceiling for this Ole Miss team? I mean, what's the worst case? That
8-4.
Best case,
I think 10-2,
which is playoff.
We think. Here's what I'm scared of around the league. I think we're going to have one kind of double-digit win team. That could be any number of teams. It could be Alabama. It could be Georgia. It could be Ole Miss. And then I think we're going to have a boatload of 9-3 teams, and that's doomsday scenario if last year's precedent at the committee holds forth. And I just think Hunter Yurachek did the league a horrible job not fighting harder for one of those 3 teams. South Carolina didn't have much of a case because it lost to Ole Miss. Alabama losing to Vanderbilt and Oklahoma late in the year, that really hurt them. And then the Ole Miss losses, as we talked about. But he had to get in there and fight harder and make the case that, yes, 9-3 here is better than 11-2 there.
And I completely agree. They've got to fight harder. And the strength of schedule component has got to come in. Now, I've always valued your opinion. We heard from Chuck Oliver earlier in the hour. In your mind, is the 9th game inevitable?
Well, it is, but hadn't it been inevitable now for all these years we've known each other, Drew? If we wanted to go to 9 games, wouldn't we have already done it?
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
And it just doesn't feel like the SEC has that appetite. I wish it would for a lot of reasons. Playoff now and for the ticket buying public.
Exactly.
It's pure sinful to charge people real American currency for those FCS games.
I mean, no disrespect, but for those kind of games.
It just is. And fill in the blank those names and teams, and I know they need it for budget and all that good stuff, but to charge people to go see Presbyterian. I'm a good Presbyterian. I'm a good backsliding Presbyterian. And with the whole predestination thing, as I said that day on our pregame, I said, don't we really know how this finishes today?
Well,
about 52-0.
Last couple minutes with Brett Norsworthy.
Yeah.
I would be remiss if what is your, because I know you follow the Alabama program very well. It's very dear to you. What are your thoughts on Kalen DeBoer's second year?
Well, he came in filling the biggest shoes in the history of college sports, bigger than Ray Perkins filling Coach Bryant. It just was, because where Coach Saban left the program, he was in the national semifinals when he left. You know, Coach Bryant, it was a thrilling Liberty Bowl, but it wasn't that big of stakes. And it was real good in the 80 and 81 seasons as well for Coach Bryant. But 82, his last year, wasn't anything like Coach Saban's. You mentioned the Big Ten the last 2 years. As a St. Louis Cardinal fan, this 2 years being out of the national championship picture, now I know what the Cub fans went through for 108 years.
Yes, it was disastrous. It was.
2 years feels like 108, doesn't it, Scott?
It does.
Yeah.
It does. So let's look at the SEC now. There's a lot of talk about Texas right now. There's a lot of talk about Arch Manning being, possibly the best quarterback
let's see him play
in the league. Yeah, but we can say that we can say that a lot about a lot of these SEC quarterbacks.
We sure can.
We don't know about Texas. We don't know about Ole Miss. We don't know about Gunnar Stockton at Georgia. We don't know what Ty Simpson can do. We all think he's going to be good in Alabama. We don't know a lot about these
Kentucky,
SEC quarterbacks. There's names, but we don't know what they can do.
And then some of them coming back, I think it's a little overdone, like for Lenora Sellers. I think for DJ Lagway, yes, good. I think could be great, but let's slow down a little bit on the hype and trying to make them into something that they're not. And I look forward to seeing Arch out there, but so far, he's just really done nothing, and he's getting all this hype. Now, opening day at the Horseshoe against Ohio State,
huge.
The overreaction both directions for Arch is going to be off the charts.
Yes.
If he has that 300-yard passing, 2 touchdowns, couple rushing, he's the front. He's a 3/4 pole for the Heisman.
Well, you're not 3/4. You are the greatest. Appreciate you, Brett.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Brett Norsworthy, kind enough to join us. Let's. We're going to take it to the top of the hour and finish it here. It is the end of hour number 1 of Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Scott Tyson, Drew Yarman. We're live from the College Football Hall of Fame. Kickoff hour 2 next.
This is Brent Musburger's VSiN Action Update on 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Drivers who switch to Progressive have an annual savings of nearly $750. Progressive.com.
It's training camp week at VSiN, the Sports Betting Network, getting bettors ready for the upcoming NFL season. Atlanta Falcons are plus 250 to win the NFC South, 35-1 to win the NFC, 80-1 to win the Super Bowl. Steve McAdoo says his model predicts the Falcons to go over 7.5 wins, and he's bet that at minus 140 based on a system in which McAdoo says the Falcons should have an increase of 20% on their victory total from 8-9 a year ago. VSiN Betting Guide prediction, Falcons over 7.5 wins. For more, go to VSIN.com. Mike Sennett, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
WCZN, Union Grove, Huntsville, Alabama. 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
SportsMed is the official team physicians of the Rocket City Trash Pandas. And if the pros trust SportsMed, you can too. SportsMed provides every service you might need for complete orthopedic care, specializing in orthopedic surgery, sports medicine, joint replacement, spine surgery, neurosurgery, and podiatry. And they offer their own brace shop, in-house full-body MRI, physical therapy, walk-in clinic, and so much more. 4 locations and on the web at sportsmedalabama.com.
This hour brought to you by SportsMed Orthopedic and Spine Center. Online at sportsmedalabama.com. Today's coverage of SEC Media Days is brought to you by Bryant Bank. We are proud to be Alabama's bank of the community and for the community. Online at bryantbank.com. Welcome to Talkin Ball with Scott Tyson and Drew DeArmond. Call into the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline now, 256-576-4977. That's 256-576-4977. Now, here's Scott and Drew.
A big thank you to Bryant Bank, helping us bring you day one coverage of SEC Media Days 2025 here from the College Football Hall of Fame. And coming up in about 5 minutes, we're going to turn it over to the commissioner of the SEC, Greg Sankey. We will let you hear what he has to say live over the airways of 97.7 ESPN, The Zone. And it's a party going on here in Atlanta, okay? The College Football Hall of Fame hosting us, the SEC Media Day. There's probably, 1,000 media members, over 1,000 media members here for the whole week. Last night was probably one of the craziest nights here in Atlanta that I have seen in a long time. And it was the Beyonce concert going on just up the road here.
Hell, I got one in the car. You went through a whole set list, Scott.
Yes. Our Uber driver last night that took us from our house
to the right.
That took us from the house to here for the premiere of the movie.
We could have bought 15 cowboy hats at $25 and up.
There was, so cowboy is the theme. Yeah. And so there were so many people dressed in cowboy boots and hats. There were some that needed to put clothes back on because they were desperately needed to put clothes back on.
We even had a Free Willy moment.
Yes, we did. Yes, we did. But we have had a great time here. There's a lot to come during the week. Make sure you stay with 97.7 ESPN The Zone on Twitter, on Facebook, on YouTube. You can watch all the shows there. We've got everything over there. We'll have all the coaches and players interviews from the podiums and stuff. You can check them out on our YouTube page. So this is a fantastic week to get caught up on everything college football. But let's get a break in, because when we come back, we're going to turn it over to Greg Sankey, the SEC commissioner.
You're listening to Talkin Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Specializing in simple and affordable rentals, McCurry Van and Car Rental can make sure you have just the right vehicle for your next family vacation, weekend getaway, or if you just need transportation while your vehicle is being repaired. McCurry carries Ford Transit vans and Mercedes Sprinter vans, trucks and work vans, and more. And they offer discounted rental rates for long-term rentals. Now with 4 locations: Athens, Muscle Shoals, Coleman, and Huntsville. Log on McCurryRentals.com to make your reservation now. That's McCurryRentals.com. You've been paying on that life insurance policy for years, but maybe you don't really need it anymore, or it's gotten a bit too expensive. Well, before you just let it expire, let Neighbors Insurance Solutions share with you some alternatives that you haven't considered. Don't throw away something that still may have great value for you. If you want to learn more about what Neighbors Insurance Solutions can do for you, call 256-763-7693. A death benefit could be a life benefit. Learn more at 256-763-7693.
Today's coverage of SEC Media Days is brought to you by Bryant Bank. We are proud to be Alabama's bank of the community and for the community. Online at bryantbank.com.
Welcome back. Bryant Bank helping us again kick off SEC Media Days 2025 here from the College Football Hall of Fame. And let's turn it over to SEC Commissioner Greg Sankey to get things started.
First fun fact is, does the notebook fit with the microphones and the podium? So that one's not that interesting. The second fun fact I learned this morning is that Herb Vincent, our Associate Commissioner for Communications, is also the Beyonce concert coordinator for our staff. So of any social media moment this week, that may rank towards the top. That said, good morning and welcome to the 2025 edition of SEC Football Media Days. It's a privilege, certainly for me, to be with you once again. We appreciate your work and all the work that's done to make this event possible. It also signals the start of a new season. Look forward to the traditions, the games, the spirit, the intensity, the competition that makes college football in the SEC so special. We're pleased to be back in Atlanta. A little bit of a history lesson. The first meeting of the SEC membership took place in Atlanta, February 27th, 1933. Apparently it was the beginning of a tradition of hosting conference meetings around men's basketball tournaments, because our men's basketball tournament was first played here also in 1933. Atlanta, as you know, has served as host to the SEC football championship game since 1994, and just up the road in Duluth, we've had a number of women's basketball tournaments played and SEC gymnastics champions determined. I'm also proud that we'll be back in Georgia later this year. After a 20-year hiatus, the SEC volleyball tournament returns. We will be in Savannah, Georgia, November 21st through the 25th at End Market Arena, again in Savannah, and we're looking forward to that event. But since we're here to talk about football, let me first express some appreciation for what's done around the game of college football in the city of Atlanta. First, we're pleased to be back here with a football field in front of us at the College Football Hall of Fame, and it's always fun to see goalposts when you're talking. The 2025 season will kick off a few blocks from here at Mercedes-Benz Stadium, when on Saturday, August 30th, Tennessee plays Syracuse, and the next day, Sunday, August 31st, South Carolina plays Virginia Tech. Plenty going on that weekend, but noteworthy that we'll be back here to kick off the season with those football games. Our championship game is a December tradition here in Atlanta. We appreciate Arthur Blank, the Atlanta Falcons organization, and everyone around Mercedes-Benz Stadium that provides an incredible experience for our participants and for our fans. I want to thank the Atlanta Convention and Visitors Bureau. You don't understand how many mechanics there are to pull off something like this. Law enforcement, the city of Atlanta, everyone that makes things work smoothly. We're also pleased and really proud of our affiliation with Regions Bank. Regions serves as a title sponsor for the SEC kickoff, and you can see Regions embedded around us. And I'll have another note about how they contribute to support our student athletes through the year in different ways. Before I move on, I'll just make a note that we are adding to our sponsor program, Wayne Sanderson Farms. We have several members of the Wayne Sanderson Farms leadership team here with us this morning, and I thank them for their support. Wayne Sanderson Farms has over 26,000 employees and over 2,000 family farms spread across the southeastern footprint. While I was preparing my remarks for Media Days, I recall that last time we were here in Atlanta, one of my backstage conversations, and I've noted this, included the discussion of why powdered wigs went away and neckties remained, and that was with Mike Leach. I just want to make a note that we appreciate an adjustment made by the National Football Foundation to change the qualifying criteria for head coaches that makes Mike and others eligible for election into this College Football Hall of Fame. We also, since we last gathered, lost Bob Holt, and we've saved a spot right around where Bob usually sits to honor Bob. Bob, as you know, worked with the Arkansas Democrat-Gazette. He was pretty quick with a question here and always asked a question with a smile. That did not mean that you might like the question he was asking with a smile, but he had a special way about him, and we miss Bob and respect and honor his memory. Last month, we had a loss in the Southeastern Conference family. Bobby Gaston, who served in a variety of capacities, passed away at the remarkable age of 101. And Bobby was still a regular attender of the SEC football championship game. Atlanta was home for Bobby, as was the SEC during his playing career at Georgia Tech when he was a teammate of Frank Broyles. He spent 50 years working in the SEC's officiating program. And we didn't have social media then, but I'm sure we didn't get them all right during that time frame. Last 16 years he worked, or excuse me, the last 18 years of those 50, he served as the program's leader. And we remain grateful for Bobby and his work and contributions and extend our best wishes to his wife, Gail. We also at a time when we can't ignore, in fact, we intentionally remember what happened over the last week and a half or so in the Texas Hill Country in the central Texas area. And yesterday, traveling down here, listening to news reports that rains were coming again and emergency warnings were being issued. Watching from afar, it's been an unimaginable loss of life to see. I cannot imagine the grief that families and friends and neighbors and relatives are experiencing, not only across our universities in the state of Texas, but across this region as you start to understand through these stories the depth of relationships that exist. We offer our thanks to first responders, to emergency workers, and even to those who try to help, whether it's through a search, through debris moving, or simply by giving someone a hug. We also know that closer to this location last fall, I saw it as I drove last spring from Knoxville to Greenville to be a part of our SEC women's basketball tournament, the devastation left by Hurricane Helene and the impact on real lives. In fact, we were in Asheville, North Carolina for the Collegiate Commissioners Association meeting where that organization made a donation to a food bank. And the leader of that food bank spoke in that Asheville area of the remaining and lingering challenges faced for food security in that region. Be it individuals we know personally or tragedies we observe from afar, we share in the grief and in those losses. We also, though, look ahead to anticipation. There is joy embedded in what we do, and we take pride as accomplished last year. Our first is a 16-member, what I think is a super conference. For all of those of you who like to speculate about super conferences, welcome to one. We have common sense geography, restored rivalries, record-breaking viewership. In fact, I asked for some data this weekend. If you take the consumed viewership hours on linear TV, almost 40% of that viewership was focused on games involving Southeastern Conference universities and teams. Big Ten was next, right around 30%. And that means with those two conferences, just over 2/3 of the total viewership of college football is embedded between the SEC and the Big Ten. The successes we've enjoyed produced 9 national championships out of our 22 sports, 5 winners of the Honda Sports Award. We had the nation's highest attendance figures in 7 sports. For the 26th consecutive season, we led the nation in football attendance. Soccer for the 2nd consecutive season, showing the emergence of that sport in our conference. Women's basketball for the 6th consecutive season. Men's basketball led the nation in total average attendance. We included the top 3 attended programs in the nation in Kentucky, Arkansas, and Tennessee. We continued to lead women's gymnastics attendance. Baseball outpaced football. For the 28th consecutive year, we led the nation in college baseball attendance. And one of the more remarkable stats provided to me was we had a combined total home attendance over 840,000 in softball. When you combine the total attendance of the 3 other autonomy conferences, the SEC total exceeded those other 3 conferences combined total by over 100,000 fans. It's a special place, a remarkable set of people, remarkable competition, and remarkable achievements. We're also proud last year that it was our first to operate fully under the Disney umbrella for broadcast of our competitions. That includes ABC, the ESPN platforms, ESPN Plus, and the SEC Network. We're so proud of that partnership because in our first year, we together earned, through the SEC on ABC, the 2025 Sports Emmy for Outstanding Live Series, the first time in 45 years that award had been presented to a college sports property. You heard from Kevin. One of our new endeavors is a box-to-box and Netflix documentary series spotlighting the 2024 football season. You'll have an opportunity, as was mentioned later this evening, to see one of those episodes. That series goes behind the scenes to really capture what we think is unprecedented footage and personal stories of our coaches, our student athletes, and our teams throughout last season. This afternoon, you'll also hear directly from Paul Martin, the series producer, who will provide you with a bit more insight into that project. And last on my set of notes this evening on the SEC Network at 7 p.m., we'll have the second edition of what we call SEC Startup. That's a pitch competition for business ideas and innovative business ideas presented by student athletes. 5 finalists will populate this year's program, which again is presented by Regions Bank and is on the SEC Network at 7 p.m. this evening. Now, of any room that I occupy, I don't have to educate you that there is a lot going on in and around college sports. In fact, I usually begin writing out at least an outline of my remarks in early June. And had I attempted in early June to write out this full set of remarks, it literally would have changed on a daily basis. Because it seems as if one wakes up and there's yet a new story, a new opinion, a new piece of commentary, or a new direction that's been suggested. But let's take an inventory of all that's happening around college sports and college football right now. We have congressional activity. We wonder what might be the next state law to be introduced or the next lawsuit. We're interested in litigation that has resulted in individuals being eligible to participate in college sports well into their mid-20s. That starts to remove opportunities for aspiring high school athletes. There are opinions around collective bargaining, opinions around the size of the NCAA basketball tournament. There are outcomes from what is called the NCAA Division I decision-making working group. There are proposed changes to the NCAA policy that for years has prohibited gambling on college athletes and college coaches from gambling on professional sports. There are considerations and commentary related to the future of the NCAA. I've already mentioned the college football playoff as it relates to our work. Should it be at 12 or 14 or 16? Or if you wait long enough, somebody will introduce another number for consideration. The issues around the college football playoff selection committee protocol and process were noted by me at press conferences in Destin. What's the future of the SEC football schedule? Is there going to be 8 or 9 games? What do we do about our future bowl relationships? How do we implement terms of the House settlement, and what's the impact of that settlement upon non-revenue sports, on participation opportunities across all of Division I, and the sponsorship decisions around sports offered on each campus? I think the most frequent question I'm asked one-on-one, including in airports as late as yesterday, is what are you going to do about the transfer portal? There's continuing evaluation by many about the role of outside financing in college sports, often referred to quickly as private equity. There's a bit of sudden expertism, as I call it, around us, where somebody is certain to have the next great idea. And as I've shared a few times, there's no easy button for dealing with the complexities that we face. And we also have to work together effectively as conference leaders. Now, I'm not going to walk through and provide you a paragraph or two on each of those items. I know you're grateful for that reality. But let me start with the working relationship among conference commissioners, because there's commentary on that from the outside that doesn't see the inside. I think at Division I, we all have a responsibility to work with commissioners from all 32 all sports conferences. There's going to be disagreements. There's vast differences in competitive and economic realities and attendance realities around those programs. But we do spend a great deal of time in dialogue. We have a second segment of commissioners, those in the bowl subdivision that populate the College Football Playoff Management Committee. You'll hear me in a moment talk about our June meetings that I thought were healthy discussions. Whether we make a decision that's predicted to be made or not is really inconsequential from a relational standpoint. What's important is working through the hard issues together. And then you have the four labeled autonomy conferences, some of you would call Power Four. That group receives the greatest level of attention. One of the encouragements for my presidents during our time in Destin is that we should gather the four commissioners and two presidents from each of those four conferences to talk about our future, as we may have a different role in the NCAA. We face different issues at the state or federal level. And in fact, all that's happening around higher ed, those are important dialogues, and I think an indication of the recognition that we all must work together. We also announced a year and a half ago a relationship and advisory council with the Big Ten. We've had 2 in-person meetings of our athletics directors and a number of video conferences involving the full advisory council and then subgroups, sometimes of presidents and chancellors and some of athletics directors. We had to slow down a little bit because we've had some key personnel changes among members of that advisory council, but I can assure you we will be back in conversation as we move forward. As it relates to the settlement, I thought it appropriate to use a bit of a metaphor for running a marathon. So I have run and finished 41 marathons in my lifetime. It's been a while, but I do remember the importance of getting off to the right kind of start. That doesn't mean you feel great in the first 2 miles, nor does it mean, transitioning that metaphor, that everything works perfectly in the first 2 weeks of settlement implementation. There have been plenty of naysayers in the last 14 days, but the settlement went into effect July 1st, and we're here July 14th while working through historic and transformational change. We're in the middle of change, and in the middle of anything significant, it will get messy. That doesn't mean you leave. In a marathon, it doesn't mean you step off the course, because for myself, as poorly as I may have felt sometimes after 2 or 3 miles, I recall that those moments might actually produce the best efforts. The burden of making a new system work is certainly on commissioners and conference offices, but the responsibility is shared with our campuses and our campus leaders. And that's recognized in this league. We still have to work through the implementation, but the burden is shared by presidents and chancellors, athletics directors, and coaches. It's also shared by those around our programs. I've asked repeatedly in conference meetings, if we don't want any limits or any structure, just let me know. Then the phone stops ringing. But over and over again in meeting rooms, the desire has been for a structure. And so we are implementing a structure even with some bumps in the road. We need to commit to that structure. We need to be willing to make that structure work. We also know that we are continuing to work with members of Congress, and we welcome that interest and the ongoing dialogue in Washington to support our congressional engagement. This isn't about preserving the status quo. This is about providing clarity and the opportunity to build a future with opportunities and healthy support. And on that last note, we continue to be proud about how we have adapted as a league, and I would offer as a group into Division I to better support young people in their endeavors, Pretty interesting to listen to the Major League Baseball draft and hear the number of college athletes, for example, taken by MLB. Major League Baseball understands the support, the education, the emotional development, the medical care, the nutritional education, the financial education, the coaching, and the competition provide a better prepared athlete for their teams. Those are our realities, not just for those taken in a professional draft, but throughout our programs. And so as we think about our work with Congress, we want a future where we have national standards, where we're able to play national championships on an equitable basis and support healthy economic opportunities for student athletes. Last week, we saw the bipartisan introduction of the SCORE Act in the House of Representatives. That's an important moment. I view what's happening in college athletics as a nonpartisan issue, but using the typical nomenclature to have members from both of our major political parties willing to step out and introduce the SCORE Act is a positive step. Now, I remember Schoolhouse Rock, right? I'm just a bill. Yeah, I'm only a bill. I'm sitting here on Capitol Hill. So congratulations, we have a bill on Capitol Hill that is sitting and requires a great deal of more work. But I think the bipartisan effort represents an indication that college athletics, just as it does in football stadiums every Saturday, can bring people together for conversation. And we hope the restoration of national standards for college athletics. On the topic of eligibility, for decades, we became accustomed to college athletics being focused on an undergraduate degree-seeking experience. Now, through a combination of institutionally requested and NCAA-granted waivers, followed by lawsuits related to transfer eligibility, the number of seasons of eligibility, and the length of time, commonly referred to as the 5-year clock for that eligibility period from enrollment to completing competition, people are remaining as college athletes longer, probably as evidence that it's a good experience. And the entry points as a result for high school athletes are being reduced. My guess is you have to return to the early 1900s. Literally, if you go to the first quarter century and look at some of the practices around college sports, you start to see the same things that we are seeing today. An older group of student athletes, constant movement without a lot of oversight, and questions about whether there are real academic standards that apply. As the world changes across college sports, we have to hold on to some values that are at the center of what we do on our academic campuses. We need to invite young people into higher education with the goal of moving them from adolescence to adulthood. We need to require unapologetically a person to make meaningful progress towards a degree. And if they don't make that meaningful progress, then simply understand they won't be able to participate in the athletics experience. We have to make sure there's an entry point for the next generation of leaders and athletes who aspire to participate in college athletics following their high school experience. As I mentioned, common standards and national standards before, there is a need to return to a common standard for athletics participation. It's embedded in the undergraduate educational experience that helps foster a college-going culture to the next generation who seeks to enroll and participate in college athletics, all while requiring meaningful academic progress leading towards a degree, not subject to the whim of requested or granted waivers, and not resulting in legal decisions that will vary from courtroom to courtroom. Transitioning from eligibility to the NCAA tournament expansion in basketball, in general, we are supportive of expanding both the men's and the women's basketball tournaments. Nothing in college basketball is static, so tournament expansion is certainly worth exploring.
Welcome back to Talking Ball. That is SEC Commissioner Greg Sankey. We'll get back to him, and you'll be able to hear him throughout the day here on 97.7 ESPN The Zone. But let's get back to the SEC Media Days live version as well. And we're here along Radio Row, Drew, and you never know. It's always fun when you have new guests, different guests pop in for a little bit.
Well, I know. And then this next guest, we saw a great documentary about Alabama football last night. We were honored to do that. Our next guest, as far as when it comes to college football, whether it be the written word, which is sacred, and then, television. If you're a college football fan and you grew up in the South, you know who Tony Barnhart is. And he's Mr. College Football, and this will be his final year covering the Southeastern Conference, and he's going to cover it in a very unique way. And he's been kind enough to join us here on Radio Row and Digital Drive here in Atlanta, Georgia, in his backyard. Tony, it's great to see you, sir.
Here's a question that I've got, guys.
Okay.
Are you fired up?
Oh, no doubt.
Are you fired?
Oh.
I always told my wife, I said, if I get to this point in the year and I'm not fired up, then I got to go do something else. And so I'm excited as much about this season as I was about my first one 50 years ago.
And what is it? What is it about this one?
I think it's wide open.
It's wide open. Is that the intrigue this year that you can look and say?
Oh, yeah. I mean,
you can make a case for everyone, and you can make a case not for everybody.
Last year in the SEC, we had a lot of really good teams and no great teams.
Right.
I think the exact same thing will be true this year. We got a lot of really good teams. I think Texas and Georgia may be a little bit better, but not a whole lot. But yeah, we're gonna have a lot of good teams and no great teams. And do we have a national championship team among this? Well, we're gonna see. We're gonna find out.
Does the SEC need a national championship team?
Well, I thought it was interesting when we were in Destin for the SEC spring meetings. You would have the audacity to bring up the fact that the Big Ten's won 2 straight national champions. Let's just say that did not go unnoticed by the coaches in the SEC, and they said, "Okay, you want some of us? Let's go." So we'll see. I don't know if there's a great team, but we're going to find out.
Well, and talk about this project you're working on in your final year covering the SEC. And my father told me this when he retired from working for the government many years ago. He told me it's a very personal thing when you decide to step away. What made you decide to do that and then to approach it in the way you are this final year?
My wife and Maria and I have been talking over the years. I mean, how do I want to go out? When I make the decision to go, how do I want to do it? And I always wanted to be sort of in control of my own destiny. The media business, as you guys know, is very, shall we say, fluid.
Yes.
And I just thought when I got to 50, I told my mother what I was thinking about. My mother's 92 years old.
Wow.
And I told her, I said, "Mom, this is going to be my 50th year, and I think I'm going to call it a day." And she says, "Well, 50, that's a nice round number. So why don't you just do that?" No, I really I've always wanted to be able to sort of go off on my own terms. I once had one of my sports writing buddies said, "Well, you just wait till the phone doesn't ring anymore." And I didn't want to do that. So I said, let's just do one final lap around the SEC. My wife is calling it a farewell tour. I said, no. Let's don't call it that. I'm not dying. I am just, let's do a thank you tour or something like that. But hope to get to all, I don't think I'll be able to get to all 16 campuses during the year, but I've got a lot of memories from being in this league a long, long time, and I'm looking forward to it.
The game of college football has changed in the 50 years, but what about the conference itself? How much has the SEC evolved in those 50 years?
Well, think back to the days when Nebraska and Tom Osborne, and then the Big Ten with Bo Schembechler and Woody A, they dominated the scenes. But as we got into the 2002, 2003, that part, the conference became much stronger, and then it became dominant. 7 straight national championships, and that's been an incredible thing to watch. Now, the Big Ten is stepping up and coming back to the pack. And I still think when you look at the whole picture, when you look at the NFL draft choices, national championship teams, recruiting, and all that, the SEC is still a cut above.
No question, and I know you're a big part of the Bobby Dodd Award as well, and it's the most important, I guess it's the most prestigious award when it comes to head coaches. The Bear Bryant Awards is extremely important as well. But talk about your role with Bobby Dodd Trophy and Award.
Well, the neat thing about the Dodd Trophy is given by the Bobby Dodd Foundation. I've been in the board of directors for about 15 years now, and it's not just winning and losing for the Dodd Trophy. It's scholarship, leadership, integrity. It's all those things. It's about public service. What does the coach do? And I'll give you an example. Our winner this past season was Marcus Freeman at Notre Dame, and there were a lot of coaches who had great years and got it, but there was something special about what Marcus Freeman did at Notre Dame. And the thing that's also different is we go to campus to present the award at a dinner, and that was really neat. We had it's just been a fun thing to be a part of, because it's sort of there's more to it, Coach Dodd said, than winning and losing games. It's about scholarship, leadership, and integrity. And I've really, really enjoyed it, and welcome the opportunity to talk to you guys about it.
Take us behind the curtain a little bit. How tough is it to pick that winner? I mean, when you guys are sitting there and you're going back and forth about who should be this one, and this one, how tough is it?
Well, the staff puts together an incredible list, and it breaks it all down.
Yeah.
You know, what the team GPA is, community service, what the coach did, and it is a hard decision. And we had several candidates we could have picked, and we were very happy when we picked Marcus Freeman. Willie Fritz at Notre Dame. Remember Tulane? He had a great year.
Yeah.
We picked Willie Fritz, and we show up on campus at Tulane for the dinner, and his entire team is there to greet us wearing their jerseys, and they took us on a tour around the stadium and all that. And it's just it's been a real neat thing to be a part of. But scholarship, leadership, integrity are the pillars of the Dodd Trophy.
Yeah, and the cool thing is now that Willie, he's moved on to Houston, but we're really good. We have a great relationship with John Summerall, who's one of the best young coaches in the country.
Well, I'll tell you about Willie. One other story about Willie Fritz.
Sure.
At this same banquet, he wanted to give credit to his entire staff, and he named everybody's name. This is what they did, and it was an amazing thing. Very impressive guy.
No question. And then, Tony, what are your thoughts? We just talked about the SEC. It's pretty wide open. Most people seem to think that Georgia and Texas are the two favorites, but I think Alabama has a chance to be good. I really like LSU if their defense gels. Your thoughts on the league as a whole?
Well, I agree with you. I think Texas and Georgia are notch above, but I'm telling you, keep an eye on LSU. I mean, I was with a small group of reporters talking to Brian Kelly at the spring meetings down in Destin, and he just looked at it and said, guys, I'm just telling you, this is my best roster. I said, this is your best roster ever? This is my best roster ever. And so he feels real good about it. And they went to the transfer. Their defense was, as my dad used to say, boo awful. Okay. And it was, but they transferred, they adjusted that and make some changes there. Gotta open up at Clemson.
And he's really, it seems though that Kelly is all in about how getting it done here.
What we asked him is that
Clemson.
He said, yeah, I want to play a Big Ten team non-conference, and then or a big power team non-conference, and I also want to have 9 conference games. I'm going, wait. Let me get this straight. You want to have 9 conference game and a Big Ten non-conference? He said, yep, sure do. I said, I'm for you, brother. Good luck.
Alabama opens with Florida State. Kalen DeBoer, second year. How do you think Kalen handled his first year as an Alabama head coach?
I thought he handled it as well as any human being could have handled it. Okay, that's just not a transition that's going to go smoothly.
Right.
I don't care. And they had a good team, not a great team. Quarterback play was spotty. They hope to address that. But don't underestimate the return of offensive coordinator Ryan Grubb to that staff. I was at Alabama's campus not long ago. So is him getting Grubb back a big deal? And they said it's a really big deal because he knows the offense incredibly well. So we'll see. And can Ty Simpson get done? Well, I think he can. Particularly, he's going to be coached better.
And we saw a little bit of him in the playoff, and it was due to an injury situation. But you know the Georgia program as well as anybody we talk with. Gunnar Stockton, what can we expect out of him?
Gunnar Stockton is a gamer, okay? Nick Saban told me a long time ago is that your locker room will tell you who the quarterback is. And he's faced that many times. And this locker room, the locker room at Georgia, is behind this guy. They are not going to let him fail. And if he's got to throw 300 yards a game for Georgia to have a chance to win, then that's not going to work. That's not going to work at all. But Georgia's got bigger problems than quarterback. Okay? Georgia, here's a bar bet for you. Georgia has not had a 1,000-yard running back since 2019. They finished 15th in the league in rushing last year. They could not run the ball when they wanted to. They had a wide receiver core that could not catch the ball. In fact, they led the nation with 36 drop passes. How do you like to have that distinction? But I think Kirby Smart's exactly where he wants to be. He's able to tell this guy, you guys just aren't that good, and they really are. They're very, very talented, and so we'll and remember that everybody. Texas comes to Athens, Alabama comes to Athens, Ole Miss comes to Athens, and so I think it's going to come down. I think it's going to come down to Texas and Georgia playing in Atlanta again.
Well, wow! It would be if that happens, that would cap off your final season in a perfect way. And again, this project I know is going to mean a lot to you. It'll mean a lot to everybody in college football that's followed your career, but. You've meant a lot to the game. You drew myself in I was when I was younger, I was a voracious reader. I was trying to read anything I could get my hands on. It's changed a lot. A lot of it's digital now, but I mean, you laid the foundation for so many of us, and then you made the transition to television. You were in both worlds, and that's very difficult to do. And I commend you on your career, sir. And we really look forward to the final chapter.
Well, thank you, guys. I've always had a soft spot in my heart for the guys who do what you do, and it's I appreciate that. It's going to be a fun year.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Tony.
Thank you, guys.
Stopping by.
You bet.
Right, Tony Barnhart, kind enough to join us. I'll tell you what, here's what we're going to do. We're going to go back to the podium. SEC Commissioner Greg Sankey continuing. We'll let you listen to him some more.
I'm on record of participating in a decision process that 12 was the right direction. And that took years, plenty of ups and downs. As I said, the middle is messy. In a marathon, it was messy. In that consideration, I think it worked well. Some of the changes happening around us that may create some competitive balance raise the question of expanding. I've always been a fan of there are no allocations. Like, take the top 8 back in 2019 when people were talking about expanding. Take the top 12. I was an advocate for that. In fact, went back through with colleagues this spring. I could take the top 14, top 16. We have agreed, and I think last week there was some misunderstanding communicated about a memorandum of understanding. So in that memorandum of understanding, the top 5 conference champions have a role. So that's, unless you're going to go tear up the MOU, which maybe some other people want to do because of their concerns about the decision-making authority, that very clearly in that memorandum of understanding is granted to the combination of the SEC and Big Ten. Ultimately, we have to use that authority with great wisdom and discretion. But unless people want to tear it up, we're going to have 5+7, 5+9, 5+11. As I understand, doubling down. So that was one of the phrases last week. That's part of a gambling experience, as I understand. And you always want to have a really good set of cards. You want to have a good hand to play, right? And I think we have the best hand to play. So we're going to operate consistent with the MOU. There's an allocation of those 5 spots. And I guess we'll continue to debate whether expansion beyond 12 is appropriate for the college football playoff.
Okay, we have time for a few more. We'll start in front of me, Commissioner Tom.
Hey, Greg. Tom Murphy, Arkansas Democrat Gazette, and I also appreciate the tribute to Bob. When the format for 2026 is set, do you anticipate, could it possibly be another 2-year fix, or would you like it to be longer term? And does either side have momentum right now?
I generally like to get out of the football scheduling decision questions, right? So that suggests the longer term would be better. One of our learning experiences from our expansion to 14, and we had 2 years and then 12 years. And our discussion now is perhaps look-ins every so often would be wise. So while you might want to answer it once and for all, I do think there's an expectation that we'll at least have look-in opportunities should the schedule change.
Okay, we'll go over here to our right. Kirk.
Kirk Bowles from the Houston Chronicle. Greg, given the long history of revenue sharing, now that we're like 2 weeks in, what's been the early reports from your members as far as any concerns, complaints, or consensus?
There's consensus about concerns and complaints. How's that? Yeah, it's anything new is going to create questions. It's not constant and overwhelming from all 16, but it's a continuing process. And I think the freak out factor is a little bit high, if you will. In other words, somebody writes something and people freak out. It doesn't mean it's accurate. All the cautions about, hey, you know, the Twitterverse isn't maybe the best resource all the time for information, or Xverse as it's known. There's a great deal of trust that we've built with our members, and so we can walk through questions where we don't have answers. We'll go seek those. Keep in mind that we're still in the process of implementing policies, and that's defined in the settlement with the plaintiffs and potentially the court oversight. So there's a process to be involved. I do think it's a reminder of the importance of continuing communication. And as I indicated in another answer, we'll keep adding points of communication as we go through this change. It's one of those, again, COVID lessons that you have to change your operating rhythm. So maybe rather than quarterly meetings, you're in monthly meetings. Rather than monthly meetings, you're in bi-weekly meetings to either give an option for questions or conversation or provide information.
Okay, we'll go right over here on the second row, same area. Second row.
Morning, Commissioner. George Somerville from the Touchdown in the United Kingdom. I listened with some interest to what Commissioner Bjormark and Scott Draper said last week in Frisco about developing their brand internationally. They went as far to say that they were looking at playing multiple games, not just in Dublin, but outside in more than one sport. As the revenue increases in growth and revenue become more and more important to the conference. We've talked about this before. What are your views on the SEC expanding the brand internationally?
George, I'll go back and share some thoughts I've probably shared over time. One is the strength of this conference is based in our communities. That may not be the same for others, but you look at the 16 cities that host our universities, the football stadiums, the infrastructure, and what happens on a game day weekend, it's absolutely magnificent. Second to none. With that said, this may build some of my credibility with you. I sat once with the Lord Mayor of Dublin to talk about playing football games involving SEC teams. We've had interest. When you take a football stadium with 100,000 fans and the economics around that football game being played in that stadium in that community, and then you transfer those someplace else, it's a lot easier to do that if program's attendance is 20, 30,000 of their football stadiums that size. So there are some economic realities that weigh against just doing that. Personally, I'd welcome that chance, and we'll continue to explore opportunities. But I'll go back to the importance of college football in our region, in our states, and in our communities, and the foundation and strength of our conference fundamentally is built on those communities. I also think we do a pretty good job internationally on our own with just drawing interest, because doggone, it's compelling. We are not boring and dull, I can tell you that.
Commissioner, we'll go over on the left aisle.
Heather Dinich with ESPN. When you talk about the Big Ten and the SEC having the control over the future format, what will it take for those two leagues to come to a consensus and avoid a stalemate? And how close are you and Tony Petitti to doing that?
well, I would never give away how close we are to doing something in a meeting. I think Tony and I spoke probably 4 out of 5 days last week. I think Jim and I either talked on the phone or communicated 3 out of 5 days last week. So we had a different view coming out of Destin around the notion of allocations, if you will. And I think you'll probably hear that again from our coaches. The Big Ten has a different view. That's fine. We have a 12-team playoff, 5 conference champions. That could stay if we can't agree. I think there's this notion that there has to be some magic moment and something has to happen with expansion and it has to be forced. No, I think we want to use, when you're given authority, you want to be responsible in using that authority. I think both of us are prepared to do so. And the upfront responsibility, and this may be where some of the confusion lies, is we have the ability to present a format or format ideas, gather information, see if we can all agree within that room. We don't need unanimity. And ultimately, if not, there's a level of authority granted to the Big Ten and SEC together. But there's a lot to that. It's not you just show up and pound your fist and something happens. I hope that type of narrative can be reduced. But we'll keep talking. We all talk a lot, probably too much sometimes, right?
All right, Commissioner, we'll take one final question over to our left.
Commissioner David Rumsey from Front Office Sports. You mentioned private equity in your opening remarks, and we know you came out against several PE-backed Super League proposals last year. Moving forward, is the SEC open to exploring any PE money or other capital injections coming into the conference?
There are two things in there. So my comments about other ideas, and they're embedded subtly, is what I've not seen is the in-depth analysis of these other ideas that's provided to our everyday operation. That's one of those disappointing realities for me. So we have to do that internally. Like how much money flows out of the college system into the financial backers? What are the ifs that are needed? If this can be achieved, and if that can be achieved, and if that can be achieved, then they might be able to achieve what they're talking about. Some of these proposals, you always see the most positive outcome. And when you ask, well, like, what's the downside? Or what if you don't hit all of those if marks, all of those mile markers? What then happens? And there's not a lot of answers provided. What we're dealing with is not like a law school class hypothesis or a finance project for somebody's MBA. This is real life. And we're seeing that happen over the last 2 weeks. So that's my observation, and just clarity on the first one. I've had those meetings. I've had outreach on a continuing basis. They bubble up from time to time. The question, what problem you're trying to solve, and what's the substance of the solution? What's the downside? What if you don't achieve all of those mile markers? For us, I had a conversation with someone in our membership about outside financing ideas as late as last week. We have been probably 2.5, 3 years into visits with banks, with private equity, with venture capital. I mean, you could go down the range. Private capital, that's another phrase that's been used. That's not been the right direction for us. We've not seen the concept that works. It doesn't mean we won't consider opportunities. If there are opportunities for mutual benefit, those would pique our interest. But the notion of just jumping to something because there's a pot of money there seems an uninformed direction, and simply taking propositions where there's not the kind of clarity around what if you don't meet your high-end predictions, what's left then? I think those are things that continue to weigh heavily on our mind.
Commissioner Sankey, thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you. We'll see you, I'm certain, around, and I hope it's a productive week. And if you have needs, we have volunteers and staff prepared to be of assistance. So we'll see you shortly with our first coach of the week.
You're listening to Talkin Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
You've got to experience Toyotathon at Bill Penny Toyota. They've got the selection with over 700 new Toyotas to choose from. And they've got the extras with Bill Penny perks and a 10-year unlimited warranty. So get on over to Bill Penny Toyota today and experience Toyotathon. Bill Penny Toyota in Huntsville and online at BillPennyToyota.com. Bill Penny's Toyota 10-year unlimited warranty is valid through the 10th year of ownership. Valid on new vehicles only. See dealer for details.
Sure, Valley Equipment Rental takes care of the homeowner and his needs, but how about the pros out there? Well, Valley Equipment has the big stuff as well. The equipment you need to get any job done. I'm talking about the big track hoe excavators, from the 30,000-pound midsize one to the big boy 50,000-pound units. Need a dozer on the job? Well, they've got them up to 105 horsepower, and that's a good-sized machine. Plus, Valley Equipment has more lifts than anyone around. Up to 80-foot booms that reach 56 feet with a 10,000-pound capacity. 2 locations, North and South Parkway. Check them out today.
Today's coverage of SEC Media Days is brought to you by Bryant Bank. We are proud to be Alabama's bank of the community and for the community. Online at BryantBank.com. It's time for tomorrow's headlines today with Scott Tyson and Drew DeArmond on 97.7 ESPN.
All right, Greg Sankey. That was Greg Sankey. You've heard him for the last 45 minutes. Greg Sankey meeting the media. You'll be able to recap everything you heard from the commissioner. Head to our YouTube page, WCCN TV, to hear the rest of what Greg Sankey had to say. That was fun. That was a fast 2 hours.
Yeah, Chuck Oliver, we appreciate the king of college football for joining us. And we had Mr. College Football join us, Tony Barnhart, in the second hour, Brett Norsworthy, hour 1 as well. It was just a great show, great conversation to kick off SEC Media Days. Radio Row / Digital Drive in Atlanta, Georgia.
All right, thanks to Bryant Bank for helping us bring you day one coverage here from the College Football Hall of Fame. Stay with 97.7 ESPN The Zone for the latest.
Hey folks, this is Arthur Seaton, managing partner at University Kia, proudly saying, roll tide and war eagle. Stop into University Kia today and shop one of the area's largest selection of new Kia.